Yo! What's good, man? How's everybody doing, man? How's everybody doing? Welcome in, welcome in. Hope y'all had a good weekend, man. Happy Monday. Welcome in, beautiful people, man. How's everybody doing, man? How's everybody doing? I hope y'all did what I told y'all to do, which was go out there and have a good weekend. Whatever that means for y'all, right? Whatever that means for y'all. For us, right? For us, it consisted of, it was Milo's birthday, our dog. It was Milo's birthday. So it was really his weekend. Saturday, we took him on a nice long walk. We haven't been able to do that. He's got a little rash on his arm that he kept going at. So we just been keeping him inside. It's also been really cold and it's raining. Anytime a Saturday comes around and we're planning on doing something or we want to go out and take him out, it's raining. It's been cold. So it's been a little while, but we finally got out. He got to explore. So Saturday was all about him. We took him on a long walk. 5 minutes away is his favorite bakery that we take him to. So we took him there. That's where where we got his cake as well. And then after that, we went and got him steak. Right? We got the little guy a filet mignon. We had some too as well, but we got him that. So Saturday was all about Milo. Gave him a bath. It was great. It was great. And then we played some Call of Duty ranked. At least I did. And Sam's been playing a lot of Call of Duty. But yeah, I mean that's been our weekend. It was chill. Went to church on Sunday. One of my buddies wanted to come and join us, who doesn't usually go, but he wanted to go. So we did that. Had some brunch and then celebrated Milo's birthday. It was a really chill. It was a great weekend. I had a great time. I had a blast. I really did have a blast. So I hope y'all had a good time as well too. Got some runs in, right? I ran Friday, Saturday. Didn't run yesterday. Ran today. So I'm back on my bullshit. I was a little off last week, but we back to it. We back to it. It's a little hard, man. It's a little hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. To run consistently day in and day out, regardless of the weather, to do it outside has been a little bit rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just been really cold, or it's raining, or just anything but a clear day has been happening. So I've been opting to run on the treadmill a couple times. Excuse me. But I just wanted to keep the momentum going because it's been really difficult. But it was a great weekend. I hope y'all had a good weekend as well too. So let's get right into it. Now, welcome to the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any other topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. Now, it really was, it wasn't a super eventful weekend in basketball, right? I get that they were selling this whole Rivals Week last week about the NBA. But the fact of the matter is this, right? It's football time. And granted, I'm not a big football guy. I don't watch it like that at all. Like I'm not even gonna front, right? I'm not gonna front. But I've always known, especially right after New Year's, right? We get the big surge on Christmas Day games, right? Christmas is a basketball sport, is a basketball day, sorry. But, right after New Year's and right before All-Star break is all football, right? The Super Bowl is in 2 weeks right before All-Star weekend. So there's a lot of the energy is towards football, and that's fine. This has kind of turned into like it's turned into kind of dead space for the NBA, if let's call it what it is, right? Because there's so much attention on football, but also everyone's kind of just waiting to get to All-Star break, right? The teams are, the fans are, everyone's just trying to get to All-Star break so they can get that extended time off and guys can try to recover, get some rest in, and gear up for the second half of the season to close out strong, which is where it starts to ramp back up again. We're sort of right on schedule, actually, right? If you think about it. And that's the reality about the NBA. It's an 82 game season. It's a long season, and it's a lot of ups and downs. You can't just be up all the time. You can't be at a high all the time. There's going to be dips, and it's a part of the process. For the NBA, it's right now, and, the only thing that keeps the NBA relevant right before the playoffs is the excitement for it. But let's be honest, some of those games towards the end of the year also, unless there's seeding potential, right? Some of them are just, it is what it is, right? So we're just in that time period right now, in that space for the NBA where it's just a little low, but we push right through it. The All-Star game is right there. We do have, my girlfriend and I and our friends, we do have just a very small trip coming up as well too. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, man, let's get right into it. Now, I wanted to start with this story because this had broken. How long ago is this? This was like 3 days ago. And it was these two brothers, Dylan and Nick Kachikian, on the same team, right? Nick scored 102 points, and honestly, this is extremely impressive. Dylan had 35 assists and 13 steals and 0 points. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Nick had 102 points, 0 assists in 29 minutes. That was the only other stat that they could put up there. 29 minutes. Excuse me. So, obviously, it's high school. And we've seen LaMelo has had... Didn't LaMelo have like a 90-point game? 92. So, it's high school. It's still a lot of points, and it's a lot of buckets, and LeBron had called to see the tape, which, the tapes have gone out since then. And then there's a comment that said this would have been Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant. And honestly, I don't doubt that that's what this could have become, truthfully. Because that dynamic is so unbelievable, right? We've had a LeBron, and now, we have Jokic and Luka. Just these players that, Russell Westbrook. I can't mention any of those guys without Russell Westbrook, the actual triple-double king. But this idea of a do-it-all player, right? It's become such a thing. And I get that Kobe used to get made fun of, don't pass the ball, you don't pass the ball. By the way, rest in peace, Kobe, right? Rest in peace, Kobe. Unbelievable. We'll talk about him in just a second. But to have those two types of players, one player that does not mind not scoring the basketball, is in attack mode, is aware of everything that's going on, but genuinely doesn't mind not scoring, and you pair that person up with a player that wants to score everything. It's one of those what ifs. When you think of a Kobe Bryant and a Chris Paul that got vetoed, that got denied by the NBA, right? They didn't let that trade go through because I think one would have extended Kobe's career, but two, he really could have potentially surpassed Michael Jordan in championships. And I don't know if that conversation will ever be spoken about by the people involved as to why it actually didn't go through. What was the reasoning? What reasons were told to Chris Paul, and obviously rest in peace Kobe Bryant. We don't know what that conversation was, and we never will know for real. But just what that thought process was and what that game could have looked like. You get two guys that are paired up like that, and obviously Chris Paul can score, and obviously Kobe Bryant can make plays, so they can still bounce off of each other and do things to make their games cohesive. But to have that, I'm going to do this, you're going to do this, you maximize what you do well, I'll maximize what I'll do well, and we'll put it together. And that would have just been something really, really cool to see, right? Like, like a Magic Johnson with a Michael Jordan, right? Like, that would have been stupid. That would have been stupid. But, those two, and the fact that they're brothers, I think also just makes it that much cooler and awesome. But, shout out to those guys. I wanted to touch on that. But, we'd already mentioned it. And before we get into the next topic, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. A lot of players nowadays in a lot of sports, right? Kobe Bryant is their idol. And it speaks volumes about who Kobe Bryant was, the athlete. And it makes me smile, right? Because we literally saw Kobe Bryant maturing, but the way the media saw him also matured over time. Because early in his career, even with the championships, I remember Kobe getting, oh, he's too selfish, oh, he's too this, oh, he's too that. It was yeah, oh, he's an unbelievable player, but it was always that. There was always a but involved in the conversation. And to see the media change in the way that they spoke about him, and then to see all these athletes who were either playing around the era he was in or he came after him, to speak so highly of him as the motivator, as this guiding light that the athletes needed when times got really hard, right? When times were rough, Kobe Bryant, to a lot of these athletes, that Mamba mentality, all of it, guided a lot of athletes to get to where they are. And I think that's so special, right? It's, Kobe Bryant became Kobe Bryant because of Michael Jordan. And he has given Michael Jordan that credit time and again, right? There wouldn't be a Kobe Bryant if there wasn't a Michael Jordan. He said that before. And to be influenced in that way, to become as great as he became, to do the things that he did, to now be the person to influence other people to become great, is such an unbelievable full circle moment. We could talk about the point. All that stuff is cool. Championships are cool. That's whatever to me, right? Like, you can have that sports debate all day long. But to see all of these athletes wearing his sneakers, paying homage to him in so many different ways because of the way he was able to touch people that he had never even spoken to, I think will forever speak volumes as to who Kobe Bryant is and the impact that he's had on the world, and just a truly remarkable person. And and me growing up, right, I was always a T-Mac guy, right? I was always a T-Mac guy, and he had started getting hurt. And, you hear about all of these injuries that Kobe was having, right? Granted, it wasn't the spine, the back spasms, the knee. He's had some really bad injuries as well, too. But, T-Macs were really bad. But the constant thing that I always remembered that really made me a fan of Kobe was you hear about the work ethic. Yes, Tracy McGrady gets injured, but you see him when he comes back. He looks like he's put on a little bit more weight. He doesn't look exactly the same. He's a little bit slower. Kobe was always in shape. His game was always sharp. And then you hear about the work ethic. You hear about the workouts. Started mimicking some of the things that he does. And then I really became a fan because then I just started studying from his footwork, his mannerisms, everything about Kobe, right? And so I remember that. I was never a Kobe hater, right? But in that time, he was always put up against Tracy McGrady. That was the conversation, right? Tracy or Kobe, Tracy or Kobe. Who's the best player? Who's the best guard? Who's the best this? Who's the best that? Who's the best scorer? That was a constant conversation, and whenever they would go against each other, obviously I'm rooting for T-Mac. So just remembering that and going through that process of really appreciating Kobe Bryant, right? You see him, he's not the fastest, not the strongest, he doesn't jump the highest. Just so much skill, thought the game all the way through. I mean, just a legend. Just an absolute legend, man. Just an absolute legend. So shout out to Kobe Bryant. Shout out to Kobe Bryant. Now, to talk about, his successor in Los Angeles, right? Bronny James. We got to lighten it up a little bit. So Bronny James had himself a breakout game, right? He had himself a breakout game in G League. He had 25 of his 31 in the second half. He had 31 points, I think 5 of 11 from 3, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. It was great to see. It was great to see. And on top of scoring 31 points and having the breakout game, right? He added in this as well too. So let's take a look at this poster from Bronny James really quickly.
Court. Lakers down by 2. James down the paint. Bronny James.
Woo!
Let the children get out and play.
But how about this dunk, AC?
Yes, we talked about that in the first half. He will go upstairs, folks. He is air traffic control.
So, a poster plus 31 points. What a game. What a game by Bronny. And honestly, for me, the biggest takeaway wasn't the dunk was great, right? The dunk was great. It was a poster. But you see the reaction from the teammates, right? To me, that is what's important in this, right? To see them reacting, to see his reaction, right? He made a comment the other day about, enjoying the game. And this was something that I had said and I had spoken about a lot. Is this what he wants to do? And if it is what he's wanted to do, right? The love for the game, has that diminished because of the process that he had to go through to get to the league, right? It wasn't, I would imagine, it wasn't as satisfying as him getting it on his own. And when you're someone that gets in that, right, that's put in that position, I'm sure he had moments where he questioned whether or not he belonged there. Hello, Bruce. Hello, Bruce Meyer. How you doing, man? How you doing? Hello. We talking about some Bronny James right now. But to be the person in his spot, right, it had to have been really hard because you covering Bronny? Come on, man. I mean, listen to what I gotta say though. Right? It's gotta be hard to try to enjoy basketball, and I'm sure there were times where he felt like he didn't belong in this. He felt like he didn't earn it, right? And it's not, honestly, it's funny. It's not even really his fault. Right? And if nothing else, right? If nothing else, to see a kid enjoying the game of basketball again. I've said this before, right? If you could have told me that I could have been professional in the game of basketball and it's not millions of dollars and my knee didn't blow out the way it did in high school, like, I would have been great with that. Because I think that's awesome to be able to play the game that you love and get paid for it at any level, at any amount. And so for someone like him, if we are to believe that he actually does love the game of basketball, to see his reaction and the teammates' reactions, to me, is what I take away from this. I mean, they look like they fuck with him. They look like they fuck with him. And, I've said this before. On that same team, there are two other guys that go and get buckets. And they were getting overlooked because of Bronny, right? Bronny's over here getting 3 points and assists, and they were covering him, as opposed to these two guys that are having 28, 25 apiece every night. So, to have that, to go from that to where it looks like the teammates are starting to embrace him a little bit, I think is a real positive thing, right? Because his situation is very unique, and we always talk about how amazing it is for LeBron James, the 40-year-old, right? And I've said before, I think it really services him in his career. It really makes his career look good. And it's really hurting Bronny's career. And I'm sure it doesn't help in the locker room, right? Like, you got to imagine the other players, they got to be like, hey, I'm over here putting up numbers and they're covering this dude. So to see them rally around him is nice. It's nice. Will he be a NBA player? I think he does have a chance, right? He does have a chance, but we'll see. Because a lot of those G Leaguers, a lot of those guys aren't very good either. So he's really just beating up on a bunch of other bums. So we'll see what happens. To go from Bronny to his teammate, right, Anthony Davis, he had a lengthy conversation with Shams, right? Or Shams, however you say his name. And they had a lot of conversations from being Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, the transition to JJ, relationship with LeBron, right? And, AD was talking about eventually taking over the franchise and how, that was a huge part of the conversation with JJ Redick and Anthony Davis of making him the quote unquote hub of the offense, right? To be the number one option, the focal point. And so they were talking about him taking over the Los Angeles Lakers, right? He is more available than Jimmy Butler. That's the only positive thing I can say for him. For who? For AD? You talking about Anthony Davis? Oh, shit. He's more available than Jimmy Butler? Wow. That's the only positive thing? That's rough, man. That's rough. You don't like AD? Honestly, my takeaway was this from that conversation. Yes, Anthony Davis, based on the ways that they have given out Defensive Player of the Year awards before, he could have gotten one, because he said that, a lot of times they would give it to a big that gets the most blocks. And honestly, I should probably fact check that as well too, how accurate that statement is. But they have historically given it to bigs, right? I don't think that's really important. He could have won one. He couldn't have won one. It doesn't matter to me. He says he could have been in some MVP conversations. A little hard, but still. He made a comment about now becoming the face of the franchise at 31. And that's where he loses me. Because at 31, at 31 is not when you all of a sudden get handed the keys to a franchise and that transition happens. At 31, you're one of the older guys in the league now. You're a star that's you're a lot closer to your decline than you are to your peak. And to me, that is the problem that has existed with the Los Angeles Lakers, right? I don't know who is to blame for it, whether it's LeBron, whether it's the management, the coaches, whatever it is. The fact that it took this long to try and hand the keys over to Anthony Davis to make this shift happen. You're doing this when he's 31 and LeBron is 40. That is the problem with the Lakers. And, on top of that, the roster sucks. But this dynamic between Anthony Davis and LeBron, I think, has been the issue. Where we know one guy should probably be the focal point of the offense, but LeBron is still LeBron, and you can't take that away from him. And so now we get to here, and he's 31 trying to become the face of a franchise. That just don't happen. You do that at 27, 26. That's when that happens. He should be, he's exactly where he's supposed to be. The second option to what should be a younger star coming into that role now. Right? LeBron is going to retire soon. He's phasing out. Anthony Davis can't be setting up to be the number one option for the future of the Lakers. He's exactly where he needs to be, and they actually are going to need a star to come and be the number one guy for the team. He's 31. He's going to be Jimmy Butler soon. Like, he's going to be Jimmy Butler soon talking about, I got more in me at 35. Like, I was mind blown at that conversation, for real. I really was. I was mind blown. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was hearing. I didn't know what I was hearing. But since we brought up Jimmy Butler already, we have more. Believe it or not, there is more in the Jimmy Butler story, in the Jimmy Butler saga. He is now, at first I thought it was just the plane thing. Like, because they had reported, let me see, where is this? This was just a day ago. The report was the Miami Heat team was waiting for Jimmy Butler on the tarmac for several hours, not knowing where he was. He later told them, "I'll meet you there." And that was the reason why he got suspended the 2 games after the 7. And now, according to Shams, the Miami Heat are now suspending Jimmy Butler indefinitely after Jimmy Butler walked out of Heat shoot around this morning after he was informed that the team is planning to not start him. I mean, you've missed 9 games straight. I don't even know how many he missed before then. Like, why should you be in the starting lineup at this point? And, this brings me back to when Shams was going at it with his agent, and Shams was like, "Nah, bro, like, I stand by my shit." And has been reporting everything on Jimmy Butler ever since, and everything has been accurate. The only thing consistent in this right now is that Jimmy Butler is being a bad teammate. And the Miami Heat, who I'm sure a huge part of this is Pat Riley feels like Jimmy Butler has disrespected him as a man. Excuse me. So Pat Riley's response is, "Cool. I'll fuck with your money." Because now he is just throwing money away. Jimmy Butler's throwing money away. He's a bad teammate. He's not getting paid. Honestly, his stock around the league has to be dropping. It has to be dropping because aside from a coaching staff that doesn't want to deal with this, I couldn't imagine a coaching staff that would want to deal with Jimmy Butler after this. But imagine the players, right? Because prior to, it was always, oh, Jimmy's just super competitive. He's a tough teammate, but he just wants to compete, and the other guys are just soft. But now he's being detrimental to the Miami Heat team, the players, because they don't want to sign an extension. Honestly, I feel like Pat Riley won't even trade him anymore. I don't think. I think there's a good chance he doesn't trade him. Because he's seeing that Jimmy Butler is, one, his stock is dropping around the league. Two, he's getting older. So if all of those things are true, he's not going to get the extension that he's looking for. He's not going to get the number that he's looking for, not even from another team. So why don't you just play it out if you're Pat Riley? Just suspend him. Detrimental to the team. And I'm sure there's something going on behind the scenes, because it's been extremely one-sided in the public. Everything has been Jimmy. And so from us looking in, we can't judge it any other way, right? We don't know if there was something said, or we don't know. But from what we can see, you're 100% right, Bruce. He is not a professional. And honestly, bro, I don't think cancel culture is a real thing. I don't think cancel culture is real. But he is going to get fucked in terms of the money, because now he's not going to get the money that he's looking for. If you're a contending team, if you're a team and you think you are one piece away and that piece could be Jimmy Butler, do you even take this chance and take the risk that he might screw up the team chemistry somehow, or that locker room? I would be scared. I would be scared. No wise team's going to take toxicity in their locker rooms. I am sorry, I can't look at Butler's side. Curry came off the bench in the playoffs. Yes, when he had missed a lot of time, right? That's what I was even saying, right? Right, Bruce? Like, you just missed, let's see how many games he's actually played this year. Like, think about it. He has missed 9 straight games. You should come off the bench just to get back into the swing of things. Like on a logical level, that made a lot of sense. And then he goes off on them. Like, let's see. Even crazy, Green came off the bench. If Draymond can take it, Butler should take it. 100%. I saw Shaq was talking about Jimmy, right? He's like, oh, you know, sign my extension because, you know, what I've done for you guys. And then they were saying how, oh, well, if like, well, we don't want to re-sign you. And then he goes, yeah, well, I don't want to be here. And I'm like, Shaq, that don't mean you do what the fuck Jimmy Butler's doing. That's fine. You don't want to be there. You requested a trade, whatever. You still got to show up to work, bro. Point blank. like point blank. They had there was the news too of, I think it was last year during the playoffs, where he like didn't get a check or something like that. There was something about Jimmy Butler didn't get a check. And it took 10 days for him to get the check. And there was a lot of people in the comment section that were arguing, oh, I flipped the whole thing up da-da-da-da-da. Y'all don't understand how payroll works, clearly. like they can't just release money. Like, that's not how that shit works. It takes time. You want the motherfucker to take money out of his cash out of his pocket and give it to him? I've seen this before. I've been at a place where someone didn't get their check. They had to wait. Because that's when they released them. Like, I was so mind blown. I was so mind blown. And someone like Jimmy Butler, you can't be stressed about that check. Like, I get that you have a certain lifestyle, but you should be good enough to where that shouldn't bother you for real. Especially if it was a real honest mistake. And, you know, what's happened after that is just one thing after the other. Let's see. He's played 25 games this year. What is their record? And they have played 44. 19 games he's missed. Yeah, you got to sit the fuck down. You're not in game shape. You haven't been at practice for real. Like, you need to come off the bench because you haven't really been here. And I'd love to be on the player side. I'd love to be on Jimmy's side, but there's nothing. I can't defend this. I can't defend this on any level. It's unprofessional. I get wanting to be rewarded for what you've done, but this is also borderline ungrateful, dog. Like, truly borderline ungrateful. Sorry, like, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. Now, to talk about, you know, another guy that's kind of going through it right now, right, is Anthony Edwards. And recently, I think this report says it was like 3-4 weeks ago, I'm assuming by now, right? Mark Jones had reported that he said, quote unquote, "I was told by someone in his circle that 3 weeks ago, Ant reached out to Michael Jordan on advice on how to handle some of the double teams and traps that he's seeing. He's been extremely frustrated up until late." And then this article says, the talks seem to have worked. In the last 5 games, Edwards is averaging 30.2 and 6.2 assists, up from 26.3 and 4.4 for the season. And he's shooting 44% from 3. And the Timberwolves are 3-2 in those games. And they just beat Denver on Saturday. So, you know, I feel like Anthony Edwards has been doing this all year long. He'll do 2 things that I absolutely hate, and then he'll do something that I absolutely love, and then he'll do 2 things I feel like it's been a pattern of his, right? Because just a couple weeks ago, I was talking about him, you know, applauding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, talking about, oh, he's the MVP. And just last week, I was talking about, bro, like, Anthony Edwards, you should be a starter for the All-Star game. Like, your popularity and what your game should be right now should be a starter in the All-Star game. Excuse me. And then he should also be, in my opinion, right on the outside of the MVP convo. But none of those things are true. He's having a solid year. He just broke the team record for 3-point made shots in a season. So it's not like there aren't good things happening for Anthony Edwards, but this season is a struggle. And to hear that he reached out to Michael Jordan, to me, is a great sign. Because you can say whatever you want about greatness, right? Right? You can't copy something. You can't recreate something. That is absolutely true. That doesn't mean that you can't learn. That doesn't mean that you can't take bits and pieces from. And in this case, right? In this particular instance, when it comes to Anthony Edwards and Michael Jordan and double teams, he asked the perfect person. Because think about it. I'm sure he could call Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant has never had the speed or the quickness of Michael Jordan. Never had the jumping ability of Michael Jordan. Hell, he might not even have the strength of Michael Jordan at this point. So, Anthony Edwards, who's kind of swung all the way to one end of the spectrum with all the three-point shots he's taking, to ask one of the greatest rim attackers in the game in Michael Jordan on how to beat double teams, because what they see is probably a lot more similar than what another player might see, right? Mike might see a double coming and say, oh, I could beat that guy around the corner because of my speed and quickness. As opposed to a Kevin Durant who might do something differently because he can't get there the same way Michael Jordan can. And so, using his resources, right, I think is an extremely, extremely positive thing. He not only has a name and he's on his path of his career, but to take from all these different greats and to learn from them, and Michael Jordan being someone he's been compared to, I think will go a really long way. And we've seen, I think Anthony Edwards should be closer to the 30 points per game at this point. I think he should be around 30-5. He should be aiming to be about 35-5 right now. What is this? What does this say? Ant should ask MJ how he should go to the basket and how he should be quiet about his weaknesses. I mean, there are definitely some things he could learn from MJ. I've said this before about Anthony Edwards, right? He's trying to copy Steph's three-point shooting. Steph can never be who Anthony Edwards is going to the rim, right? No player nowadays can mimic what Anthony Edwards does going to the rim. The way he's able to dunk on people, like it does something to the other team. Those 2 points, it's a lot more. It has a lot more weight to it than just a regular bucket. So he can't take that away from his game. It's so important. He's always telling the media what he does well and what he does not do well. I think here's the thing about him, Bruce. I genuinely, he has zero PR training. He has zero PR training. And to me, and people probably won't understand this, but to me is the same thing when Cardi B became really popular at first. And they started putting her in front of the camera and started putting a microphone in front of her. She literally did not know how to lie. They would ask her about songs. They would ask her about whatever. She did not know how to lie. She was just a hood girl, just being naturally herself. I think Anthony Edwards is kind of going through the same thing. Like, that was what I said about what his comments on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? I think he actually believes that Anthony Edwards should have won, that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have won the MVP last year and should win it this year. I think he genuinely believes that. Should he have said it is where I have an issue. But I think he just don't know how to lie. Like, and when you're a public figure in this space, especially in competition, right? There are some things that you have to omit. There are some things that you don't have to say out loud. And to your point, Bruce, he doesn't have to tell people what he does well and what he doesn't do well. The reality is, the other team should already know this. If they're smart and they do their homework and they study, they should already know this. But he also shouldn't be telling people. So we'll see what happens with his career, man. This is definitely it's a turning point in his career. This is a turning point in his career, and we'll see what he learns from this year. This year can either really make him to be one of the greatest players that we've ever seen, or it can break him. We'll see which way it shakes out. Now, from one young star to another, we are going to talk about the Boston Celtics a little bit because of some comments that Jaylen Brown had said. So let's take a listen. Let's take a listen at this. All right, let's take a look.
Last couple games, you got to play a little deeper in the first quarter. I know there's been an adjustment for you this. You had those rotations. I feel like it helped a little bit, mixing those up a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could say that. I feel like I'm usually the one that set the tone for the team. So sometimes not being out there when we kind of have a sluggish start. I feel like at different times in my career, that's been me to help negate that. But different year, things get switching up, and things get switched up, and you just gotta be all right with that. I don't really complain or anything. I just try to come out and be the best version of myself.
So, the reporter asked a very straightforward question right there about the rotation, what his thought process is about that, and create a disconnect between the Boston Celtics again. And I say that because after these statements were made, there were posts about Jalen Brunson selling his penthouse home in Boston to try to create this narrative that there's a fracture in their locker room, when the reality is he's been trying to sell his home for the last 6-7 months ago, right? This isn't something that just happened. So, I just wanted to clear that one part up. I think there's some people that think that there's a potential issue going on between the team. So he is now trying to sell his home, but that is not actually the case. What is going on over here? It doesn't say I'm down. That's the weird part. All right, let's try to keep pushing through. So I wanted to add that first part. I wanted to add that part and make that very clear that he is not selling his home because there's an issue going on with the team. Now, whether or not they have an issue, right, is whether or not they have an issue. I think they've been through so much already as a team. I don't think that's the case. I think their issue right now is basketball, right? They have now swung too far to the left also with the 3-point shots. And I think it's impacting a lot of their game, right? I think that the long 3-point shots and the bad shots are one. It's not allowing them to keep momentum, right? In scenarios where they make 1 or 2 threes, they're going to keep shooting threes instead of using the other team overextending to the 3-point line to then get to the basket, alley-oops, layups, dunks, mid-range, floaters, right? That's how you go from 2-3 made shots in a row to 4-5-6 made shots in a row as a team. I think that's impacting them and their ability to make runs. The other issue in it is these long threes are creating long rebounds for the other team. And when you get long rebounds, you get to get out on break. Now the Boston Celtics are not set up on defense. They are in cross matches. They are not defending who they're supposed to be defending. And so now their defense looks a lot worse than what they've been because these long 3-point shots are creating fast break opportunities for the other team. And even if they don't score, right, it creates, like I said, an opportunity for the other team if they can get a mismatch, get a post up, get a pick and roll. It creates so many options for them instead of being at 0-0 where they have to, the other team has to walk the ball up the floor and the Boston Celtics are set. Because in that scenario, their defense is still solid. But the 3-point shot is impacting them. And on top of that, I think they have, you can take a look at it. I think their 3-point shot attempts have scaled back a little bit. Let's take a look at this. Let me take a look at their stats. No, this is not. I don't need the advanced stats. I just need the offensive stats. Let's see. Okay, here we go. 3-point attempt. They're under 50, y'all. They're under 50. They were at like 54 or some crazy shit. They were at like 52, 54. They were at 49. You know, making their way down. And not for nothing, right? When we talk about the 3-point shots and the attempts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Out of these 10 teams in the top 10 in 3-point attempts on the year, right? There are 2 good teams on this list. The Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The other 8 suck, right? The Chicago Bulls, 19-27. Golden State Warriors, if they didn't have their hot start, they'd probably be around the same mark. We don't even got to talk about the Charlotte Hornets. The Spurs are not great. Minnesota's been struggling. The Brooklyn Nets suck. The Utah Jazz suck. The Miami Heat suck. This is not a list you want to be on. And the only reason the Cleveland Cavaliers, the only reason you can give them a pass is because they are leading the league in 3-point percentage. They have been. They have been losing a little bit more. And Cavs should lose in the second round. I'll be honest with you. The Boston Celtics should still win the Eastern Conference. Like, and this is the thing. The NBA does not suck, bro. The NBA does not suck. But this is the thing about watching the Cleveland Cavaliers early on, right? One, they were ahead of everyone, right? I think their ability to use 2 bigs is going to be copied over the next couple of years, right? Because of how versatile they are and how they're able to play. Darius Garland is young. Donovan Mitchell has been undersized his entire career, right? I do think that the Cleveland Cavaliers had a really hot start, but they are going to suffer a little bit as the year goes on. They had such a great start that they're still going to be near the top of the Eastern Conference. However, they are going to face a little bit of trouble because it's not about who's playing the best basketball in October, November, December. Like if we call it what it is, like, we could really care less. That's why a lot of us look at that, in-season tournament shit like whatever, because it doesn't mean anything. If you're the best in that time period, congratulations. It's about who's playing the best in April, May, and June. That's the reality of the NBA. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, we saw that they were able to do this last year, that they were able to hold it out throughout the whole season, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't think they understand how to do that. Because, one, they're young, they're inexperienced, and what happens when everyone isn't playing well and Donovan Mitchell has to go get 40 every night, right? From the outside looking in, even if they win those games, it'll be like, oh shit, like, they're still winning games, but that still impacts the locker room, meaning, how is he going to feel? Is he going to feel like they're lacking? Is he going to feel like they're not stepping up to the plate and picking up their slack? Is he going to feel like he needs to go out there and score more than he's been doing? And will that impact the team in a negative way? There's so many things that could happen between now and June, right? So, to your point, Bruce, they've been losing a little bit. They've been struggling. They have one star on their team. One star. And when you think about the Cleveland Cavaliers organization in that city, it's not a big market. So when you get in some of these close games against these major markets and these big marquee names, you're going to have a hard time. And in the playoffs, it's going to be a really, really hard time. It's going to be a very, very hard time. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'll put it this way. I have zero faith in the Milwaukee Bucks. Zero, absolute zero faith in the Milwaukee Bucks. If the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Milwaukee Bucks end up facing off, I would be really worried for Cleveland. I would be very worried if I'm Cleveland. And that's all I'm going to say on that situation. That's all I'm going to say. Now, before I get up out of here, I wanted to point this out because I thought that this was fun. I thought this was fun.
These things.
Let's see. Boom. All right, let's take a look at this.
These things light a fire. Pippen works to the baseline. Jaren for three, short. Rebound Collier. Keontae George uncorks a three wildly.
Wait, hold on. I didn't even notice this the first time. We just going. What the fuck was that? Wait, hold on. We're not going to ignore him taking 40 steps. Okay, he didn't have control here. He has control here. I guess they count the zero, but that's 3 steps, brother, to get a 3-point shot off.
Keontae George uncorks a three wildly.
Yeah.
No, don't do it, Zach Edey. Good job.
Get him, Zach. Get him, Zach.
Yeah.
Get him, Zag. Look, Josh hype. He's like, yeah. He's like, yes, sir.
Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff. Eubanks right there. Yeah, that's unnecessary.
Bro kind of like mugged me, and then Zach came over like, he bothering you? And I'm like, nah, bro. And then, the first technical happened. So then I guess Zach thought I was lying, and then he became the enforcer that he is for this team. So shout out my big fella. I got that tech for him, so he ain't got to worry about coming out of pocket.
Shout out Ja. But all right, I wanted to go back to this because They were going at it right here, right? There was a little thing going on right over here, right? And I Ja was saying it was even before that as well too, but they're already going at it over here.
Pippen works to the baseline. Jaren for
Bang,
three,
right?
short.
He's already saying some shit,
Rebound,
right?
Collier.
Well, he said something to him already.
Keontae George uncorks a three wildly.
You cannot run down, hit the guy,
George
and then
uncorks a
back
three
up.
wildly.
There is just no way in hell you are hitting someone and backing up. What are we doing, Eubanks? I'm talking to you, Eubanks. No. Don't do. Yeah, you got ejected, but you didn't even get your money's worth. If you gonna hit the guy, I need you to stand 10 toes, bro. I can't do like, no. You need to be 10 toes. Like, we can't have this, oh, I'm going to start backing up. No. We can't have that. To the rookie, I get he's big. You can't back down from the rookie. Zach wanted all the smoke, and I love that. And I love how Ja being, kind of a vet, being a young vet, I guess being the star on the team at least, right? He's like, I got that big fella. I got your fine. And you gotta love that out of Ja Morant. And I think, similar to the Houston Rockets, right? The Grizzlies and the Rockets are in the position that they're in my opinion, because of coaching and the coaching staff, but also because of the camaraderie around that team. You could tell the Memphis Grizzlies team likes being around each other. They enjoy playing basketball together. They have each other's back. So mistakes are mistakes. Good things are good things. Like it seems like there's a very positive energy from this team, and the way that they interact with each other, the way that they applaud each other. I think it goes a really long way. We're seeing guys thrive. Granted, Ja has not been there consistently, but I think the culture that he's able to set and the team is able to set is evident in the way that they're able to win. I think, the Houston Rockets are very similar in that sense, but we're getting some physicality, we're getting some arguments, some little fights here and there. Hey Bruce, the NBA don't suck. Not when we got people fighting. James just had 40 the other night. I mean, we got some good shit happening. Like I said, it's rough times for Jimmy Butler, but it's also just rough times for the NBA right now. We got to stick through it. We got to get through the All-Star weekend, right? We got to get through All-Star weekend. Hopefully we get a great All-Star break. We get a great All-Star weekend, great games, great everything. Hopefully that's great. The players are able to have their break, and then we get back and we attack this shit, right? So, but for now, that's going to do it for me, man. Before I get out of here, please like, comment, and subscribe, all that good shit. Tell your friends, come hang out. We'll come hang out. We'll just kick it. Tell your friends to come pull up. But that's going to do it for me for now, man. I appreciate y'all as always. Thank you so very much, man. I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Have a great Tuesday. I will see y'all on Wednesday. Bruce, I appreciate you, man. Bruce, hey! I appreciate you, dog. You are awesome. Thank you so much for chatting it up. Y'all have been so unbelievable in the chats the last couple weeks. Thank you guys so much, man. Like I always say, y'all could have been anywhere, and I mean anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate you guys for that. Thank you so much, man. I'll see y'all on Wednesday.